and start to roll over? Or does it bust through and does the market go red to green? So when we see the market like this, we have to think of two options. We know that big picture we should probably bounce because we're oversold and we're below the lower Bollinger Band. But we also know on a short-term basis, the price action is very ganar, right? This is a waterfalling effect, and then we've got the gap down. So what we need to do is come up with just some levels. So we have 185, that's like your pre-market level. Then what we're going to have is whatever kind of orb look that starts to happen to the upside or downside, right? It could very well, we could ORB to the downside and continue. We don't know. But if we start to build out a little bit of a base to the upside, then we'll see it go, and then we need to take out 185, and we'll come in and fill the gap. Once the gap fills, we look at 9 and 20 EMA. If you get red candles to hold at the 9 and 20 as the gap fills, then we have to re-short. So this is the tough type of day. This is where the money's really made. Anybody can make money when the market's just going up and grinding up because you just long the shit out of everything, right? Or you get a little pullback, you go. This is going to require 6 double Lutsies and 2 dipsy-do dunkaroos because we're going to have to flip, then flip again, if that makes sense. So just stay close to us in the chat room. Watch me and Zaman and Brad and Chris and Sal will kind of guide you along the way. But that's where we got to go with this. So we got a flip and a flip that we got to do. We either ORB to the downside, ORB to the upside, and then we got to watch the 9 EMA, 20 EMA to see if we re-roll or go red to green. So I think that's where we got to, that's a mouthful right there, but that's where the big bucks are made. So good morning. This is going to be fun. Let's, I don't really even see any gappers like that are worth trading per se today. I guess we could look at, maybe shorting some China names, but I don't even know if any of these are really worth it. There's going to be more than enough plays to do just out of our regular watch list because, frankly, what happens is like when the market gets really volatile, every name really reacts the same. So when the market gets really volatile, it's not really about individual names. It's just like, because everything's going to move 5 or 6 or 10% today, regardless. So you don't really have to go in and say like, oh, I'm going to trade this or I'm going to trade that. It's all going to move really pretty much. It's all going to move pretty much the same. Let's see what's going on with this Twilio. So is Twilio's earnings out today? Or were these out the other day?
Yeah, yesterday.
Okay. So this thing is still getting smoked. Hey, Kalu, how you doing? So let's go into like kind of the individual watch list. If we need longs, we JNUG this thing all the way to the bank, right? So if you look at the hourly chart on JNUG, we're right at that breakout, aren't we? So that's nice. That's real nice right there. So we got hourly breakout on the JNUG. It's happening right now. We've been waiting all month for it. If we need a long and the market's getting toasted, we can go in with JNUG. Now the other thing is, even if the market's not getting toasted, there's a very good shot that JNUG breaks out anyways at some point. We want to keep this on list for a potential long. If we need to short the market, what do? We've got TVIX on watch here. We've got a really like a nice kind of pattern over here that's been really pushing through. Now you're over the 50 SMA here. Hey, Rafael, how you doing? What's going on, brother? So we got a 50 push over here. This is going to be like, this is up 5-6 days in a row. So this is not something you hold, right? This is a day trading instrument. One thing to remember, Carrie, Montreal in specific, TVIX, you don't buy it at the open for little ORBs. TVIX is one of those ones that's always better on pullbacks, and then, we want to be able to flip it back the other way. So usually with TVIX, like watch this thing if it starts to pull back to your 9 or 20 EMA and then it starts to hold. That's what we want to go with this. So JNUG, TVIX, all right? If I want to bounce the market, I'm looking at this Soxal. The Soxal is the 3X ETF for semiconductors. You can see this thing's at $200, down at 50, you're gapping down at 140. Man, one more push at the open on this bad boy, we'd get this thing into a really nice area to bounce. Like this one's going to have some sick range on it. This looks pretty good too. Now, you don't just have to trade 3x ETFs when the market gets volatile. It's just one thing that we can add to the toolbox. We want to stick with the most liquid names possible. When the market gets flushy, when the market gets crashy, what ends up happening is liquidity can dry out in certain names. So like a lot of names, if they don't have the juice, you got to be careful with it. So if we need some bounce plays, we'll look at crowd here. Especially if it gets to 80. 80 is like my sweet spot on this thing. Because that's like when the gap would, that's when the real breakout started. And then you would also have your 20 SMA there. So you're only a couple dollars away. Like a flush on this bad boy. Oh yeah, we're going to have some fun on this one for sure. SVMK, this one was a big breakout on Friday. It really needs to get over 20 to be like technically a breakout. This thing, like if it starts to go red to green and then takes out 20, I think that one's gonna have a chance. Somebody, I think it was, I forgot who it was. I think it was Andy had mentioned Uber's kind of looking like it's oversold. I think if you get down into like 39, 38, you may get a dead cat bounce in this for a few days. So probably worth keeping an eye on for sure. This one's also got a lot of liquidity, right? I want to stick with names. They got the liquidity on it. MYG, and I was thinking if this thing gapped up, that we would short this thing at 50, because that would be a day 3. Now that it's actually gapping down, this actually turns into a long. So it's a very small difference, right, between the life of a long and the life of a short sometimes. This one, now that it's opening down $2, I think that we will have a chance of red to green this bad boy, and push it into that 50 spots. I like this one a lot. This one is not, it's got volume, but it does not necessarily trade. It doesn't trade like, there's a spread on it. So like it can fake you out. We were trying to short it on Friday, and like the spread was really messing with your head. Like it changes the way it looks sometimes. So just kind of be mindful of that. There are some really good breakouts that are still like out there, I think, that you guys can keep an eye on. But I want you to keep an eye on some of these oil names. So this WPX is just a big old bear flag over here. Like this thing's been getting crushed. I think we got to keep a lot of these oil names on watch. They're going to squeeze to the upside at some point, but they're also kind of drifting lower every day. So they end up being good, like kind of trend trade shorts. You can see like this MDR, like pretty much every day goes red to green, green to red, and it actually has like a good range and like good liquidity on it. So like these are names that you guys can keep on your list. There's MDR, CNX, like all of these are kind of really kind of drifting down, but they're very tradable. Like they got really good range and good liquidity on them. So keep a whole, I'd go CNX, SM, DO, WPX as like oil names to potentially just kind of keep on your watch list. Keep on your watch list. I think that these will be just fine. And then, frankly, like I had a whole list of shorts here, but they're all gapping down for day 2s. You can go VMW. FLR was another one that we were trading. We were looking at that. This one's got a chance to kind of go lower too. SQ. These will all move the same. All right. These will all move the same. They're liquid. They've got, the key is like they're liquid. They'll have the range. And we'll be able to kind of shred these things, but they're not even going to probably move as well as the ETFs today. What's going on? Hey, Patrick, how you doing, Ernie? What's up? Where you been? What's a good 3X oil ETF, Kilau? UWT is the 3X oil ETF for like the actual price of oil. But if you're looking for like oil like companies, then you go ERX, which is the daily bull for like specific like the oil companies versus the price of oil. Ernie, I usually use TVIX, but UVXY moves just the same. Yeah, you can go either or. I believe they both have taken away a little bit of the leverage in them. TVIX used to be a 3x ETF, now it's only a 2, so it definitely has lost a little bit of its fun. FEYE, Miss Gifford. Yeah, this thing looks like a breakdown at this point, so I would be leaning more short on this thing than I would think. I would be leaning more short than I would think I want to be long, and if that makes sense. Because the trend on it's short. It's not really that stretched yet, so I don't know if there's really like a huge... sometimes we want to bounce stuff, but we may not need to bounce anything. If that makes sense. Word. Boom, 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 boom. Sorry, my TC1000 just froze. Man, this J-Nug's already breaking out. Dun, 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 dun. Alright. Pins. Let's go pro. What we need to do is put Soxel on the list. So I think that's it. We're going to have a short list. Pins is another one that I think, I think a Pins is another one that we'll get a play on it at some point. Watch this level, though. It really needs to hold. If it breaks under that level, probably you may even get a quick short out of it. So just kind of be mindful. But you had a 2-tapper here. We should have really just shorted this thing right at 35.20 on Friday. But the earnings breakout is hot. Like, you get big volume on it. I think that we'll get a play on this. If the market reverses, this one really should lead the way. This one, SVMK. This one, SVMK, and then there's like a couple other ones. MTZ was a really hot breakout with like a big volume push. So these are the ones that should lead the way when the market starts to bounce. Blake, you can't buy anything just at the open. You got to wait for a pattern. So, I would wait for an ORB pattern. JNUG in particular does an ORB really well off 1-minute charts. So you need a little bit longer of a time frame to hit the ORB, and then you can shred it. But in general, also JNUG works much better on like quick pullback plays. So quick pullback buy is when you get like the spike at the open, and then you get the pullback to the 9 EMA, and then you can start the trend. That's like a much cleaner play on an ETF. ETFs in general, like, you don't want to be chasing them up high. I think that's going to be that's a big no-no when you go with ETFs. They just don't move clean enough to just bust loose. I mean, every blue moon they do, but that's not really my exact type of setup. So, guys, trade well today. You know what we do. Stick together. And, guys, don't just endlessly post tickers in the chat room, right? On a day like today, post your ticker and then talk about what you're looking at it. Like, if you just sit there and say ZM, or Roku, without any context, then, it doesn't make any sense. So kind of give an idea of what you're doing. We had an awesome week last week in the Boom Boom Room, and let's keep it continuing. Really, last 2-3 weeks in the chat room have been some of our cleanest that we've had in quite some time. This is the hottest market around. Like, even though the market's not at breakout, this has been the best trading market that I've seen in quite some time. You guys definitely want to be aggressive and trade. I mean, I'm trading 20, 30, 40 trades a day, keeping it going. So let's go do what we do. It's Monday. You know what that means. You got to start off the week right. Let's go have some fun. Let's make this happen. You ready, Nick?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Guys, let's do what we do.